Did you always believe that you would be able to achieve what you have?
I always knew there's something about me that I cannot sit in the office. I knew that there's something, and I knew that one day it will happen, but I just don't know what it is.
How have you found the balance of like reinvesting to like level up, but also making sure like you're monetizing?
You have no idea, bro, because a lot of the creators, they just get paid and like they just do the same thing, or like they don't even think about how to improve their script or like flow of their videos. I always like to see where I can improve on and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of the times when I just started getting paid and monetized in 2023, I actually immediately go and find a camera and like some lighting and stuff like that just to improve the overall quality.
Yellow Panther, a prominent figure in the Web3 gaming community and the winner of 2024 Content Creator of the Year Games Award, a pioneer pushing the boundaries of AI, bridging Web3 to mainstream audiences through culture, lifestyle, and gaming.
If you were to sit down with YP 5 years ago, what would you tell him?
I would tell him,
Welcome back to the Lock In or Log Off podcast, where I speak to builders, creators, and investors to understand how they spotted the opportunity and how they navigated their way to success. Today, we're joined by a good friend, YP. How's it going, man?
yo, Caleb, thank you so much for having me. I'm feeling good. Top of the morning at an amazing location, bro. You brought me to a gym. I feel energized, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way we do it. We're gonna hit a workout after this. That's what I didn't tell you, but that's gonna be the plan. But yeah, no, it's amazing studios out here. I think it's the vibes in Dubai have been very strong.
Yeah.
But I wanted to start this sort of kind of understanding. You've obviously achieved so much in this space, and I think a lot of people look up to you from a content creation perspective and everything like that. Something I've been dwelling on a lot this week when speaking with friends, but also on the podcast is you're only able to achieve things you believe are possible for you to achieve. Did you always believe that you would be able to achieve what you have?
That's a very strong statement, and I actually do believe because, bro, I don't know. There's something about me when I was young. I was like always a naughty kid. I always like to do the non-traditional way and stuff like that. I always knew there's something about me that I cannot sit in the office. I think inside me innately there is something that I have to go find, and I've been searching for it. Like I did possibly everything in terms of content. Like I started Vine back in the days. I started TikTok and stuff like that. Always in the short form era. But yeah, bro, I knew that there's something, and I knew that one day it will happen, but I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
How
strongly
did
believe.
how did you work out, like navigate your journey to figuring out what that was? Was it very much like trial and error?
Bro, trial and error, bro. That is the key.
Yeah.
Like in Web3, we like to say F around and
Yeah.
F, yeah, find out.
Yeah. No, it's true. I think curiosity is definitely the way. And I think with content specifically, like creativity, it's really just kind of trying out new styles until you kind of find that PMF in many ways. But kind of going back to, like you mentioned, you're a naughty kid at school and you kind of always were messing about. What was the journey like into both Web3, but also the content creation? What happened in your life before then that kind of led you to where you are today?
Yeah, so I was a dancer back then, and obviously as a dancer, we have to record videos and stuff like that. But before that, I was also a little bit into acting, like skits and stuff like that. But that's way before, like when I was like maybe 10 or 12.
Wow.
And yeah, I am always kind of like not really camera shy. I like to be on camera in a way. So yeah, I just like to put myself out there on social media whenever I dance and stuff like that. And yeah, surprisingly, people really like to see me dance. But at the same time, compared to professional dancers, bro, I'm not there yet. But just I think the most important thing that I learned throughout this is like put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Like yourself, like you put your stuff on the pot for the internet to see, and people like, wow, this is actually good content. So yeah.
With you saying that, I think that like you said, the hardest thing is putting stuff out there.
Yeah.
A lot of like, even for me, before I got into like the podcasting, and I think the podcasting was the first format I felt really proud of.
Yeah.
That then I didn't mind putting out to public. But I think what a lot of people struggle with is like a lot of people who are motivated and stuff like that, they're perfectionists. So they compare themselves to people who have already had 1,000 reps and
Correct.
they've done 5 reps.
Correct.
What is your advice to someone to like publish the content and record the content, like kind of overcome that barrier of self-doubt, but also like the understanding that they're not where they want to be, but they need to do the reps to get there?
The funny thing is that just exactly a year ago, I was like showing my production team like the video, the highlight video that I took versus the ones that I recently done. Like just 1 year itself, the change is crazy.
Yeah.
And versus 2 years, 3 years ago, that's the process and progress is insane. And why I like to say it's actually very crazy, but it's actually very funny, not crazy, but people actually like to see you progress
Yeah.
from 0 to 0.1, 0.2. It's not 0 to 1. Like
Yeah.
you notice how I say point 1, point 2. Like people like to follow the journey. Like obviously people who watch my content, they probably remember the video of my face cam, not even 4K, not even 1K, probably 1K. And like the chin and the positioning, they can't even see my full face. And people like actually remember that, and like they watch the content nowadays and be like, damn, YP came a long way, or like, damn, this guy came a long way. And you know the crazy part is we're just warming up.
Yeah, that's it's interesting you say that, 'cause like everyone you see that's sort of made it in the content, even Web 2 specifically, the biggest attachment is like those who found the creator early and went with them through the journey. Like you
Yeah.
see even like the COD players in Optic, or you see the Phase people,
Yeah.
or you see everyone like you see a man Gadzi, he's like he was filming a 16-year-old on like a pretty bad camera and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like everyone, like it's the journey that really matters. I think the biggest thing is people expect the results to be there early on, and it's kind of like you have to build those reps. And yeah, the way I perceive it, and something that like a frame of mind and perspective that I think's really helped, is like imagining you're in your own movie, and like you're like the main character in your movie, and you realize like, oh, okay, like I'm just in the first few, like the first 30 minutes of
Episode.
that movie, or the
Yeah.
first episode. It's like I'm just very early on, and those are always where the struggle is,
Yeah.
and like where you're figuring it out. What are some perspectives that have helped you like throughout your content like journey, both from like staying consistent and like making sure that you keep pushing yourself?
So I see, because like kind of like dancing, and I'm also a footballer, like athlete as well. Like I feel like doing content and stuff like that very much relate back to like gym or like workouts or like sports. Like even the days that you do not feel like showing up, you have to show up. Like sometimes you're tired, but you still have to show up on X, show up on Instagram and stuff like that to say a good GM or like something about your niche. Like for me, it's gaming. I feel like that relate a lot to me, because sometimes, bro, you really don't want to show up
Yeah.
and you really just not feel like it.
Yeah.
But for me, I think no matter what, like you gotta respect the grind, respect the work. So, you know, you just have to show up. And when you show up, it feels good. Or like
Yeah.
you know, some magic happen. Like for example, like sometimes I don't feel like going to a conference. You know what? I don't feel like going to Hong Kong, and then boom, a banger highlight video came out. It's
That was
crazy.
sick.
You know, like you know, good things come. You
Yeah.
know, unexpectedly.
It's interesting, like it's like you say, it's like you can reference it very much to gym, like the days where you feel like least going to gym.
Yeah.
Once you're actually there and you start like working
Yeah.
out, sometimes those are the best workouts.
Yeah.
And so just getting yourself to that stage and continually like iterate and everything like that.
Correct.
But I guess the biggest question with a lot of this stuff is like you do so much, you've obviously made a lot of success so far, but why? Like why still always push yourself to that? Like surely there's a level of like comfort that's available to you in terms of like you could chill for a bit.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's a very tough question, bro. I ask myself that. I think my team also sometimes wonder, why is YP up at 3 a.m.? Why is he even on Saturday replying to group chats and stuff like that? I and like, you know, between the time I met you and now, I kind of like, you know, thought about it a little bit more. I think the simple answer is I fell in love with the game. Like this game is kind of fun. And I always say like when you went from 0 to like it has been 4 years. Like right now is my 4th year going to 5th year. Things you have a feeling and a relationship with the industry. Sometimes it could be a love-hate relationship or something like that. But deep down, you know, and you can see the future. And I know that we are not there yet. And I'm working every day to hopefully to the day I can see where I envision the industry could be. And that's why I show up every day. Sometimes I press myself too hard, which I actually agree, but there's no regrets in every day, like showing up, just putting in the work.
What's your perspective on the work-life balance and hard work? You say you push yourself too far sometimes. I
Yeah.
think I've spoken to a lot of like a few guests around this topic, and they've all kind of had somewhat different things. But yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts before I go into what the overall
Yeah,
perspective tends to be.
dude, for me, I'm a pretty crazy guy,
Mm.
extreme guy, I would say. Like, I have no work-life balance. um I just truly believe, like, if you're in your 20s, like, just give your all. Like, maybe you can achieve something at 30 or after 30. But for me, I'm actually pretty extreme. Like, when I work long hours, I do the long reps. But when it comes to rest, I get my sleep and
Yeah,
stuff like that. But the next day is just work. There's no vacation and no nothing. And I feel like if you wanna be average, then you just do what the normal people are doing, like just your average Joes. But if you want to really go somewhere at the next level, you really gotta push the pace.
yeah.
Hmm.
I think it's an interesting, yeah, interesting perspective, and I think it's yeah, it tends to be what a lot of the other
But
guests
I
have
want to say
said.
it's not for everyone.
It isn't, and I think that
Yeah.
that's a very good point. I think right now it's very glorified of being like a entrepreneur and going by yourself and doing all these different things, especially on like social media, that everyone
Mhm.
thinks that they compare themselves a lot to like everyone else that is doing that route and sees that, and it's like being an entrepreneur is not for everyone, being a content creator is not for everyone,
Yeah.
being a podcast is not for everyone. Like
Yeah.
there's a niche for everyone within most industries, and especially in Web3 there's a niche for most people.
Yeah.
It's just working out what that is right for you. But I think what you are right about is yeah, like pushing yourself. I think the way I see it is like I viewed my life now more in how good will the story be,
Yeah.
and do I want to leave my 20s and be like the stories were like, oh, they're okay, like I went on done this a little bit like this, or do
Mm.
I want to leave the stories like having taken so much risk, and even if they go bad, they're pretty good stories at the end of it. And I think when you change that perspective of just see it as like, will it be a good story
Yeah.
irrespective of good or bad, it kind of makes you more comfortable of like taking those risks and really like yeah, making yeah, really going for the harder tasks in life.
Correct. Correct. I agree with this. And bro, I don't know. I think the story, like, of you and like a lot of people, like, on the guests on this pod is very incredible.
I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize, and that's what like why I started the podcast is like to spotlight how much amazing talent we have in the space. Because I mean, the timeline is always based on charts. It's always like, oh, our industry's terrible because charts going down, or oh, our industry's the best because charts going up.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at like, okay, who are the people that are actually building and
Correct.
pushing the space forward? And when you look at it from like a talent perspective, don't get me wrong, like most startup tech industries, there's a 90% who are not that good, probably shouldn't be in the space and are here for extractive reasons.
Yes.
But there's the 10% who are here to like they literally just love the grind and love the space to push it forward. Like Amit from Proof of Play, like when I
Yeah.
was speaking to him, it was just like I could just purely tell it was like because of the belief of
Yeah.
what is possible with this tech.
Yeah.
And I think I think there's a cohort in this like industry that just has amazing talent. But with working so hard,
Mm.
and you mentioned you don't have work-life balance,
Mm.
does it ever get lonely when
Yeah.
working that hard?
Yeah. So, like, crazy part is that in Malaysia, there's not much, like, great content creator in Web3. There are a lot of great builders, but it's a different ball game. Like, you can't compare it to a founder versus a creator. That's why, whenever I travel, like, I get to meet you and like a lot of my friends who are in the creator niche and like making content. Then I feel better. Once in a while I get energized and stuff like that. And from time to time I get on calls with like a few creators to just brainstorm, get some inspiration, help each other out, because yo, it could be very lonely, but thank God for our friend system, bro.
Yeah. Would you ever consider moving? Because like obviously you mentioned there's not that many creators there. Something like obviously yeah, I've just moved to Dubai, and I think there's like obviously a huge network around here. Like, and I've only
Good
been here
question.
short term, but I'm still seeing the change of environment and how that's impact both like like the how I feel from that perspective, and like being able to relate to people in a similar mentality, have conversations that energize me and everything like that. Is that something you'd consider?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but I feel like I'm not there yet. Like, in my journey of my career, I think if I do feel like some slowdowns or
Yeah.
like some stuck in my creativity or like my career, then I will consider that to bring it to the next level.
Yeah, interesting. And you mentioned creativity there.
Mm.
What's your funnel like for creativity? How do you decide to try these new lifestyle content? Like, where does the like creativity come from? Because I think a lot of people want to be creators, but there's a creative block that is like, that's probably the hardest thing that stops so many people from being consistent and getting from 0 to 1. They get to like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, creative block, and then it's done.
Yeah.
How do you work through that?
So for me, it's I've always consumed a lot of types of content, and I always study as a viewer and kind of think from a viewer standpoint. Like, is this interesting? What's the retention like? What are people actually watching on reels, shorts, and etc. And for me, lifestyle is just one thing that I wanted to explore, just to highlight and bring out the best events, just like how you come to Dubai and bring out the best guests and stuff like that. But for me, I want to bring the best moments and capture them and put it in a highlight video and show it to people who do not have the opportunity to come to these events, but from my POV,
Yeah.
right? But actually, I want to explore more shorts and stuff like that on the Web 2 side of things, because bro, the talent in Web 2, they are like maybe like level 99,
Yeah.
where Web 2 creators are still catching up. But the great thing about Web 2 content creators is that we have the know-how of the blockchain tech
Yeah.
and how Web 3 culture works. I think that itself, this edge, Web 3 is so new.
Yeah.
And with this edge alone, is something that the Web 2 creators that wants to come in, or people who from Web 2 want to come into Web 3, do not have.
Yeah, it's interesting to say that Naval Ravikant speaks a lot on like leverage, and one of the biggest leverage pieces he mentions is like unique knowledge.
Mhm.
And I think within Web3, if you understand the culture, you understand that there is a unique knowledge there that you can leverage, and that's why people who are slightly worse creators can perform better in Web3, and maybe that's why the quality standard in Web3 is slightly lower, is because there is that barrier.
Yeah.
However, I do think for anyone who is aspiring to be the best, and be here when we get to where the industry will be, you have to compare yourself to the Web 2 quality side of things. And it's funny because like
Correct.
people monetize so much earlier in Web 3 from a content creation
Correct.
perspective than Web 2 by far.
Yes.
And way higher. But I feel like a lot less reinvest into the content itself. I think it's very much like, look, this is obviously like a stereotype. Not everyone does this, but I think a lot of people see it as like, oh, okay, like I'm making money from this. This is like more of a job sort of thing than it is like
Correct.
a creative endeavor and like looking to level up as such. How have you found the balance of like reinvesting to like level up, but also
Yeah.
making sure like you're monetizing the right
That's
way?
a big good question, bro. Dude, you have no idea, bro, because a lot of the creators, they just get paid and like they just do the same thing, or like they don't even think about how to improve their script or like the flow of their videos. It's crazy, bro. But for me personally, I always like I always like to see where I can improve on and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of the times when I just started getting paid and monetized in 2023, I actually immediately go and find a camera and like some lighting and stuff like that, just to improve the overall quality. And then like slowly, what can I improve next and stuff like that. So how do I balance it is actually like how good of a story I want to tell and
Yeah.
put it out there. So from there and that perspective, I was like, okay, hey, I think I need this. Hey, I think I need that. Like right now we have a production team together. It's kind of crazy, but that is the level and quality that I have for the game,
Yeah.
and the respect that I want to give to the content game. And I want to also live by my words, like we just talked about it. Like the standard of Web3 content is not there, and I believe that with a little reinvestment constantly can bring it up a notch, like slowly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just want to improve and show that we can do it too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people see it as like a short-term game versus long-term game. They
Yeah.
don't see the long-term game. They're like, oh, I can make money, Instead of being like, if I level up and I
Yeah.
differentiate myself more in the timeline and stuff like that, then the opportunities become higher, then you monetize higher. And it's like, it's a flywheel in many ways. Don't get me wrong, within that flywheel, we have bear and bull markets. So like monetization changes a lot. But yeah, I think there's a flywheel of like reinvesting. I'm so far down that route where like, I invest
I
way
know.
too much down the to the increased in, but it's like I think we're in an industry where you can monetize. So like at least from my perspective, I see it as like such a unique opportunity where like you can make that money. It's like if you're not reinvesting it into like the opportunity, then yeah, I just think there's just such a unique opportunity. Like if you can find that flywheel to constantly improve and constantly level up,
Correct.
um,
You
on that
only
side of things.
honestly, you only need a few great partners with you on a long-term basis
Yeah.
to support you to continue doing what you do, and that's it. Like, shout out to all my like long-term partners. They believe in the craft, and that's why they like to work with me and like bring it constantly, not
Yeah.
just like one or two times.
With you, you mentioned like long-term partners. I think there's two things I want to cover on this. And the first one is reputation in the
Mm,
space, brand reputation. We mentioned obviously monetization is a big thing, obviously, with creators. Like creators have such a powerful position in Web3 because the timeline is where most brands
mm-hmm.
want awareness, and the best way through that is through people, right?
Correct.
Um, what is your view on brand protection and reputation protection from who you partner with and how you liaise that in an industry where we do tend to see a lot of you might think it's great, but then a few months
Yeah,
later it can change so quickly.
yeah.
How do you decide that and protect the YP brand specifically?
Honestly, the intention that we come from, especially when I post content, is very important. Like if you set that in mind and whenever you post stuff and you draw it back to your intention and the intention is good, then on the long term, hopefully that will help you create a long lasting brand that is trustworthy in the Web3 space. Because dude, honestly, like with recent stuff like that, like which you just brought up, like Ragnarok, the Ragmon thing,
Yeah.
like it was very good. Like 6 months ago, the founders were very hyped and stuff like that. Like they were shouting like this is great and stuff like that. Obviously, we also work together, but who know, like reputation and stuff like that, community stuff can just break like that. So easy in Web3. But what I'm trying to say is that you never know. But all you can do for yourself is, just post content and do it for with a good intention.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's having a moral code in terms of the kind of brands you work with
Yeah.
and picking that is really important. But obviously, like it's easy to monetize on Web3, but in
Mm.
terms of building a business, like people monetize and then like it's like very in spurts, especially smaller creators. What is your advice from like a creator to go from 0 to 1 of like being a creator but building a business behind it?
Yeah. I mean, you have to understand the funnel pretty well. For me, I have multiple funnels. Obviously, content is top distribution. You get the most views and stuff like that. But the next funnel, like the second funnel, third funnel, it could be different, and it could cater to different needs and different kind of clients. So for you, for the creators that are just starting out, I think learning from people like Leon, people like Arby, and also surgeons like Ruti and Vin is very important because they establish their agencies and their businesses so well, but it's because they have solid business foundation and the know-how on the dude. These are Web2 traditional stuff. You can search it out on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can actually learn it. If you don't understand, bro, just reach out to Caleb or like people who have established businesses. Talk to them and be curious. I think be curious is also very important because if you're not curious on wait, how the heck did Caleb build this, or like how the heck did YP build this, then you will just like, oh,
Yeah.
but for that like itself, I think business foundation and also like marketing funnels is super important.
How have you found the balance? Like you're a creator, but
Mm,
you're also now very much in the world of being a businessman and
yeah,
a CEO and everything like that.
yeah.
How did you transition into the business world specifically? And what are some of the learnings that you had initially while doing that transition?
So I never always have a manager. Like I always like to talk to the games myself. I like to find out what their needs and stuff like that. And wow, I didn't know that was kind of like a step in the business called like business development slash client relation. And like from there, I was like, oh, I'm actually wearing multiple hats. As a creator, you could be editing your videos, you could be the one thinking of your script. You are basically you're everything in your when you first start out. So right now, the balance is that I've a team that's working for me, but they're also working at my second, third funnel, fourth funnel, and stuff like that, working on different stuff in within the business. So we have actually expanded into not just a content creator. We actually advise some of the top gaming projects in the industry. We help run some marketing campaigns around Asia, but it's super limited. And like also we do a lot of user acquisition and player liquidity because I think a lot of creators, if you're just starting out, a great advice is you can actually start your own community, like what you're doing with your Telegram community, right? For this podcast is very great. Like build your first, I don't know, 100 or 200 subscribers or like followers is the key because these people are the ones that are willing to follow you from your social media to the next platform.
Yeah.
That itself is called conversion, and that conversion rate is ultimately very small, and it's expected to be very small. But the game is for you to work on it to make the conversion bigger, bigger, and bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's super valuable, and I think a lot of people don't view content from business perspective. You mentioned you speak to all the companies yourself, and
Yeah.
you have I can't even imagine how many kind of
Yeah.
calls you've had in it.
A lot.
What do the Web3 brands want from creators? Like, if you were to give, because I think having the perspective from the Web3 brand perspective, then the creators can sit there and think, okay, the brands want this.
Correct.
How do I then position my content as still entertaining, but providing a platform or canvas that brands look for and see is valuable? What do they look for?
So I'm pretty spoiled because a lot of them want my content and I cannot give them that a lot of the time. And a lot of time these brands, you guys need to learn how to what a creator is possible of doing. Some of them are great content creators, but they're not great converters or they're not great at user acquisition. So these are for the brands, like you have to understand that first. But a lot of these games actually really just want my content, and very few of them actually know that, oh, actually YP can do a lot more. He can actually move the needle when it comes to like some stuff. And they also know that I have a lot of network and relationship that they can leverage on and stuff like that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things that people want.
Yeah.
It's just that, oh, but for creators, you guys have to understand like what is your value and stuff like that. For example, like you know a lot of people, you're very close with them, but at the same time, you have to know. Keep in mind a good intention. You cannot leverage your friends for profit.
Yeah.
Never ever.
I think it's
Never ever, bro.
yeah. It's an interesting industry because everyone kind of networks and kind of there's benefits in a lot of relationships and people look for that in these discussions. But there is such a dangerous line of like you have to be careful how you leverage your relationships.
People in our industry would like to talk big, like we're so close to this guy, yeah,
Yeah.
that's my homie, like I can get it done, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. But at the same time, a lot of them are just like talk and stuff like that. When it comes to actual the work, it's like different kind of thing, different
Yeah.
results.
Yeah, I think I mean, this industry is full of a lot of people who are more the talkers and the action takers
Yeah.
as such. But yeah, on the content side, like for those who are going from 0 to 1, what's the best advice you can give them if it's in the current market? I think there's the current content creation market is transitioning a little bit within the Web3 space. If you were starting out right now, how would you be like, okay, I want to differentiate, I want to be like fast track my growth for Web3? What would you do if you had to start from 0?
Gaming or
Anything.
dude, honestly, it's kind of like a hot and unpopular take because I don't think you should be using PFPs. Yeah, like that should work 2021, 2022, but probably not now. There's so many people on the timeline that are just PFPs. Bro, like you guys gotta start doing it like Leon, Caleb, and stuff like that. Maybe have your face there, but like maybe put a pudgy there.
Yeah.
That's way better than putting a pudgy penguin because people who have already established the IPs and stuff like that, they built it 4 years ago, bro.
Yeah.
Like if you want, you still can. Like something more unique, like a Kermit frog, or like a whale. He's already OG established. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say. If you want to come up and stuff like that, I would say prefer use your face. But if you're not docs, then create something special, like a custom or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's an interesting way. Like a lot of people there has been such a drive of like people representing these brands, and like for the NFT brands, it's great and
Bro,
everything like that. But it's so hard to differentiate
yeah,
people.
it's also the very same like what you say. 2 months ago it could be great. Like what happens 2 months later when it's
Yeah,
not great?
yeah,
Then what the hell do you do with your PFP?
yeah. You've built your brand around that, and the problem is like people always like brand their content with their PFP as well, and it's like they built like completely around that. Which like again, like it was 2021, 2022 was really cool. I think it is cool for some of the brands, and some people have done it really well. But like you say, you're right. Like everyone who done that and was successful was pretty much started at last cycle. So it's like
Yeah.
I think there's honestly so much value in being doxxed in this industry that people don't
Yeah.
understand. Video
Yeah.
content, I think, is the future in terms of everything. So like we see streaming kind of took like a leap in terms of we saw Thread Guy kind of
Mhm.
lead that way, and that really what onboarded a lot of Web 2 users, and we see you with the Web 2 gamers and everything like that. I just do think that if we want the industry to grow, like the majority of success will come from people who are doxxed. There will be people who are not doxxed and are credible at what they do, but I do think there's so much value in being doxxed.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially if you're a gamer, bro, like, you have to go to gaming events, LAN events, tournaments. Like, what if you become famous and, like, your fans want to meet you and stuff like that? No, that's exactly what happened to Disguised Toast, right? He was just a masked person behind TFT streaming. Eventually, he have to dox, right? And right now, he is a esports owner. He have to go to fan meets. He have to go to events and stuff like that. Yeah, it's way better to be dox.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of value on the going forward from there. But kind of going away from that stuff and going more into YP specifically,
Mm.
um, all successful people, it seems, come from like a level of hardship, kind of going into at some point in their life, they've kind of gone
Yep.
through different periods that have kind of grown them into the person. And
Mm.
I think that's where resilience comes from
Yeah.
specifically. What are some of the hardest times that you've had to deal with kind of going through your journey in Web3, but also just in life to kind of get to a successful point that you found you've grown, like that have helped you become a more resilient person?
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned loneliness in the space back then. I think 2022 was my hardest year in my career. Everything was collapsing. Like, dude, all of a sudden, no one believed in Axie Infinity, where I came from, and all of a sudden, um, Bored Ape stuff starts to tank, and like all the NFT people start to panic. Crypto prices dropped drastically, and there was just days after days, months after months of red. And a lot of games just went silent because I don't know, they're still building and stuff like that. There's no reason for me to actually like show up.
Yeah.
And it's actually crazy. And I just kept finding the reason to show up. And that was one of the hardest period of my life because I was also lost. Like, holy shit, is this the end of gaming in Web3 and crypto? Or what is the next Axie if Axie die? Like, we never know because I was just a very new person in crypto and I have no idea what's the cycle, what are cycles, what is cyclicals and stuff like that. What is the meta? I have no idea. So that itself, that year was my toughest. And then I found like a game and stuff like that that actually brought back the spark and stuff like that, which is great. The other thing was also back in 2023 when I just first started getting monetized. My mom passed away, so that one was a huge one for me. Like, dude, after that, that was a huge one. But after that, immediately I signed up for a gym. I was pretty bad in shape because I was like in and out of hospital, taking care of my mom, stress, and then like at the same time trying to find myself, my career, establishing myself, all those stuff. And then after that I signed up for a gym. I start just keeping myself busy. I just dwell myself into work
Yeah.
and content and constant improvement. And yeah, I've never stopped since.
How did you, like during such a hard period of like trying to keep the content going and
Yeah.
everything, um, how did you manage that from a personal perspective? Like, because I think for me as well, like when I've gone through hard times with family or whatever that looks like, I do the same. It's like it's just like you kind of go in like it's like an automated mode of like you just do stuff. You just
Yeah.
do it, and you kind of don't really introspectively realize like if
Mm.
like how you're feeling and how you're managing through it all. But how did you find like working through that period specifically and like kind of, yeah, I guess being persistent within it?
So that one took a lot of discipline. Like for me, I just have a schedule to follow, a reason to show up, because I just started monetizing, and I've like, yeah, this is actually a very very bad time to take a break, or like to just because, bro, whenever every time something bad happen, you can either go the good way or the bad way. And if I were went to another way, I'll probably not be sitting here talking to you. The next, yeah, for me, I'm always like have a positive mindset. When it comes to when things happen, then I just find the next possible thing or course of action that I can take to navigate me from this point to the next point of my life. Yeah, but yeah,
I think, yeah, I think positivity, it's a really interesting topic in like, I think modern day
yeah,
people are just like ridiculously optimistic
yeah,
win best. Like I'm the same. Like I've become the person, or I've always been kind of like on the optimistic side, but now I just see things as like I reframe almost everything into a positive, or like
yeah,
I find such peace, and even when things go wrong, I find such peace because I can see
dude,
the angle that it's positive, and when you get to that stage,
so powerful.
it's so powerful. Like nothing stops you. Like
Yeah.
something goes wrong, I'm like 5 minutes, I'm there like, oh, it's not. Then after, I'm like, okay, like
Yes.
there's a piece
Hey,
to it.
that's
It's
kind
like
of like me, dude.
yeah, and it's like 5 minutes after, it's like back to normal programming. Because like another thing is like most of the time, the thing that's an issue isn't that big of an issue, and if it is, it won't matter in like 2 months.
Yeah.
Even like a week later, you don't even think about it. It's like
Yeah.
it's so easy to get caught up on stuff and super stressed that like
Yeah.
it throws you off the path. And that, I think that's the biggest, most dangerous thing is like when you're grinding, when you're working really hard towards a goal, and you let something that like a roadblock that comes in
Yeah.
basically throw you off. And I think that is like, yeah, that navigation is really what allows you to be consistent, or it's like the reason that you keep hitting blockers
Yeah.
specifically. How have you, like, what are some things that you found from like a perspective for that that, yeah, just help you stay consistent through, yeah, taking on the bad news or when things go wrong?
Dude, I don't know, bro. I just show up.
Yeah.
But whenever I have creative block, I just try to search for creativity by
Yeah.
consuming content, what people are doing and stuff like that, and then like turn it to your own version. Yeah. So yeah.
And why, with the creativity side of things like that, and then when it comes to business, how's it been being a businessman, having a team, having that
Oh yeah,
responsibility?
dude.
That comes with a whole different, like with the market that fluctuates all the time.
Yeah.
You're very young. It's like it's a total different skill
Oh my
set being
god.
a creator to being a
Oh
founder.
yeah.
How's that been?
Oh yeah. Dude, right now we have grew to like a 20 or 20 plus
Wow.
team, but it's most of them are on the community side. And right now we also have an office like more than 6 months ago. Um but there's about eight core team that always come to the office and get put in the work and stuff like that. Yeah, I never thought that I would be in this position. Honestly, I actually took it upon myself because honestly, I can just do it like 5-man team. But I feel like I think there's something more that I need to establish right now before it's too late. And right now we are working towards that, like the advisory stuff, the marketing stuff, and many other things that we can actually help. And in my opinion, a lot of the games, like we mentioned earlier, like do not know or understand the Web3 crowd very well. And for me, I have put in the work and hours in this industry to actually be able to give insights that actually could possibly help them succeed. And I feel like, I can do more and help them, and maybe, just maybe, help the industry become better.
What's your view on, obviously Web3 gaming's in a pretty weird
Mm.
place right now? Like I said, a lot of things are closing and stuff like that. What's your view on Web3 gaming? But also, what's your view on you? You're a Web3. You're known as a Web3 creator. Specifically, you're doing some lifestyle stuff now. But we can dive into that after. What's your view on Web3 gaming right now?
Web3 gaming, boy oh boy. But, okay, so unpopular take is that people keep saying that it's dead, but it's not. It's really not, because I've always done these like updates on like games like weekly and bi-weekly. Bro, there's so much to cover. Everyone's building, shipping. But the crazy part is that even in the bear market, Cambria did a 1.4 million price pool plus additional a few more million in terms of the play to airdrop. And this was on in a period where Bitcoin was close to 78K, and where the timeline is just shouting, we are doomed, we are done. But the gamers in Web2 gamers and the investors that fund the price pool and stuff like that, they didn't give a shit, bro. They didn't give a damn. They just like continue playing games. And I feel like at the end of the day, Web2 gaming is here to stay and is here to grow. But there's a lot of people and games that will come and go. Yo, I'm rapping right now, but
Maybe that's a good part of the career you should
yo,
pursue, man. When's
but
the mixtape dropping?
no, Central YP.
There you go. You got your name already.
No, I'm just joking. But there are a lot of people that will come and go, but at the end of the day, there's that 1% to 5% of the games that will succeed and possibly break out to the masses. Yeah, we have seen the possibility of what off the grid type of game can be, and there's also the other end of the side where the on-chain, fully on-chain game, degen games, the possibility of one season holds.
Yeah.
I think On-Chain Hero did 15 million transaction in a month or something like that, which is absolutely crazy. And at the same time, if you pair it up with future and upcoming chains and ecosystem like Abstract, like Somnia and stuff like that, it gives people a reason to believe, and it could be the next Arbitrum, it could be the next Sui, and as we go, it's very possible. Right now, there's not. It's still too early to tell who is the market decider or who is the king of the market. So the opportunities are always there. So that's what I'm gonna say about Web2 gaming on the very positive side.
Yeah.
Obviously, on the negative side is the people coming and going. The people who get hurt is the people who might have invested in your project, who have hold the bag and stuff like that. But then again, at the end of the day, we are all adults here. I feel like we have the responsibility to know how big or how much risk you want to put into a project, especially given with the knowledge that how crypto is volatile, Web2 gaming is volatile. So it's your ultimate responsibility.
It's so funny because like everyone's like, oh, crypto's volatile,
Yeah, they're
Web3 is
babies, bro.
volatile. Yeah, everyone is babies. It's like crypto and Web3 is volatile, but like in Web2, 9 out of 10 startups fail.
Yeah.
So it's like we're pretty much on, say, maybe we're a bit higher. We're probably higher in terms of the percentage of failures, but it's not that far off. Like it's just because that you can invest in all of these, like, and you'd never have the possibility in Web2 that people are like, oh, so many fail, but it's just because you never see the Web2 ones that fail and never make it to the
Yeah.
thing. So I think it's such an interesting like narrative that we've seen across this industry that everyone's like, oh yeah, like keeps failing. Like, yeah, 9 out of 10 always do, and that's just the reality of it.
And the crazy thing is that if you actually invested into XC, which I hope I did, that's like probably a lot of multiple
Yes.
fold. Yeah.
Yeah, there is always opportunity, and like the gaming industry has always been the number one spot, makes more than all the other 99% of games. It's like I forgot what the effect is called, but it's like the winner wins by such a large margin that it dominates the industry from a percentage perspective. You see it with Fortnite, you see it with all the major games. They kind of just dominate that industry. But you obviously, your YP is Web3 Gaming Creator of the Year. You're a Web3 gamer, and that's what you've been known for. Is that what YP is going to be known for in the next 4 to 5 years?
Ooh, great question. Honestly, I don't know. I may want to do more stuff. But at the same time, we just started out. I don't want to stretch myself too thin. So let's see where this year go, and then let's see what the bandwidth is. And obviously, the lifestyle stuff, I'm trying to explore like the Web2 side of thing, like reels and stuff like that. That's something that I have not break out yet. So I'm trying to. I'm trying to be like you, RNG. My brother. Met him yesterday. Do you meet him?
Nah, I saw him at the event, but I didn't speak to
You
him.
should have spoke to him, bro. Like, broke out into masses, but at the same time, am I ready to break out to masses? Because the Web2 people are like
It's a different world.
it's a different world. So yeah, let's see.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting. Very exciting ambition to kind of go through to that Web2 audience, and I think the lifestyle content is definitely the way to do it. It seems like that definitely is
Yeah,
what unlocks their interest, and then again you funnel them through lifestyle, and then you funnel them into like all the other stuff and education and all that kind of stuff.
correct.
Um, but I think lifestyle is a very unique standpoint specifically. But how do you decide? You have so many opportunities that come up. You do the advisory. You do so much. How do you decide what to pursue and what to like? What made you pursue the lifestyle content? Like, how do you decide? Like,
Mm,
is this worth it? And I was speaking to Leon earlier this week, and he said only pursue opportunities if they have a 10x potential from where you currently are. So you look at it and you feel like, oh, they'll only like 2x like my thing. Probably not worth the effort and the
mm,
transition. That was his advice and like something he
interesting.
had kind of tweeted. How do you decide what to pursue?
Interesting. Dude, honestly, I don't know. Because you know what happened? Bro, you guys know I have an Asian YP as well. Hey, shout out my twin, but I think two months ago, as gaming is quote unquote dead, people also think AI agents are dead. And bro, I think virtuals did 150% in the past week.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then suddenly the timeline said, "We are back. AI agents are the future." And I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, okay. But anyways, that's good. We're kind of back. But things never change is that we continue working. And 2 months ago, I made a commitment to make a event in Dubai. I put in the money. And that back then it was just me. And I was like, you know what I should do? I should bring people who are like me, who still believe in AI and gaming. I brought Yumio, I brought Virtuals, I brought Ready Gamer, I brought NRN agents. And these are the people that are committed. I don't know what the result is, and I didn't know that the market will recover or like at least come up. But all I know is that if I put myself out there, if it goes bad, hey, if it's good, hey, put myself out there and I let the rest decide. Not everything needs to be calculated by ROIs or like multiple folds. For me, it's that how can I get, for my philosophy, it's like how can I get to this point to a better version of myself in 3 months, 6 months,
Yeah.
12 months.
And what are you most focused on? Like, what does a better self of YP look like? What are the channels that you measure yourself on in terms of, is it health? Is it,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like this internal goal for me in terms of video is obviously retention and the minutes view. But on the gaming side, it's how many gamers can I help at the same time convert for the games themselves. So these are the two metrics I always look at. And with this, I'm able to actually navigate the bull and the bear at the same time. And at the same time, understanding what my community needs and what the partners wants. So this is why something that I call like incentive alignment.
Yeah, I think that's you can see you've got a pretty analytical perspective on things
Yeah,
in terms of how you perceive them, and I think it's really important to view it that way. Of again, like you see it from a business perspective, and probably from all the calls you've had, and that's really kind of, I think, probably the what I've noticed from the people I was talking to is like how you transition into business is like make great content, that's all good, but then
yeah,
how do you then start to platform that content in a way that is provides value to companies, whether that's through awareness, whether that's through conversion, whether that's through
correct,
BD of like bringing them leads and everything like that. It's like, how do you platform
correct,
that? And that's something I'm currently working through very much in
correct.
terms of how you platform that for a value
Yeah.
perspective.
A lot of the time is manual work because there's no actual tool to help you. Like impression and stuff like that is okay, but conversion is something that you need to measure internally. And I think like a lot of the games need the numbers to justify the cost
Yeah.
most of the time. And if they think that makes sense, like bam, you got another partnership or something like that.
Yeah. No, that's very exciting. It's like we're coming towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
3 questions kind of ended off. If you were to sit down with YP 5 years ago, what would you tell him?
5 years ago, I would tell him, bro, buy Bitcoin, bro. Bitcoin's not a scam.
It's so funny. I asked Leon the same question, and he was like, "I would have told my younger self to hold the Bitcoin I bought then." And just shows the crypto minds all
Yeah,
kind of the
bro.
same.
Like that, and start more editing skills, and also like a lot of content, all these like matrices and stuff like that. And the last thing I will say is should have stick with sports more, like 5 years ago. Like, yeah.
Yeah. What sports do you go to at the moment?
At the moment, I do gym and also a little bit of dance.
Nice.
Yeah, so we got back to dancing.
Good, man.
But bro, you know how it is, bro. Once you stop, bro,
It's so hard. It's like you're starting from the beginning again.
yes, I mean you got the foundation and stuff like that. But if you have not stopped, that's why for my content, I'm not stopping,
Yeah.
chat.
You gotta be too scared because
Yeah,
yeah,
but
when you see it from the physical perspective, it's insane. Like I stopped boxing for like 2 years and I went back in last summer.
you die, bro.
I died. I literally got in the ring and I thought I'd never done the sport before. Like I was unfit. I was like, it felt like I'd like there was so much rust. I was like, damn, like did I ever do this? Like, what was I dreaming? Yeah, no, I think that's a great one. I think a big thing is always just health, like staying healthy when you're grinding really hard. For me, it's like so important in terms
Yeah.
of like having that as a priority because I do think the mind and the body are heavily related. If one gets unhealthy, the other gets unhealthy.
Correct.
But yeah, the other one is what does YP like or the community have to look forward to in the next 6 months for what's coming from you?
Yeah, we have a SBT for our most active and loyal gamers in Gaming Grid. Expect some airdrops and partnerships for just give some more benefits to them, and obviously more games to play together. Yeah.
Nice. And then the final thing is what's one resource that you have found super valuable to yourself, whether it's a book, podcast,
Ooh.
quotes, or even a mentor, anything like that. What has been the most valuable to you for your growth to where you got today?
I feel like a lot of those. Okay, dude, this is kind of crazy, but anime. Like I'm actually like the past few months I've been rewatching Naruto.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Naruto Shippuden is something that I have not watched, and I was like, how Naruto went from a kid to become Hokage. I think the journey is crazy, and there's a lot of lessons in there, like small lessons. When you're younger, you probably miss them, or like you just want them to fight.
Yeah.
But actually, there's a lot deep stuff inside, which I think have helped me in this journey. But of course, a lot of the friends and partners that have been helping shape and a lot of conversation to help me grow. That helped me grow. So yeah, I think a lot.
That's a very interesting one. I think there is so much amazing to learn from like storytelling and like whether it's movies, books, everything like that. There is so much yeah, there's something you can take from a lot of those things. But man, it's been an absolute pleasure. So
Pleasure's
happy
mine,
you've been
bro.
able to do it, man. Wishing you all the best for all that you have to come. So excited to see more of the lifestyle stuff. I love that content and you guys have been killing it. So yeah, wishing you all the best, man.
Thank
And
you,
thank you
bro.
very much for coming on.
Thank you, bro. Let's go. Let's go.